Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Vaccine Team podcast. And I am joined once again by Chief Operating Officer for the state of Connecticut, Josh Geballe. Thank you so much for being with us on this Monday after so many restrictions eased here in Connecticut. It feels a little different, right?
Yes and no. I think, certainly, some of those capacity restrictions easing a whole nother group of people eligible to be vaccinated. But at the same time, I think people are aware that there still is a lot of COVID in the community. There still are people getting severely ill, and that we need to keep our guard up for a while longer here.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's interesting. I feel like I know more people who've tested positive in the last 10 days than I've known before. So it is out there. We need to keep wearing the masks, social distancing. But at the same time, as we begin a new season and younger people can now register for the vaccine, are you seeing it get easier? I know there was frustration with the appointments and you recommended patients. Is the backlog kind of easing a bit?
It is. With the beginning of any new phase, there's always a lot more people, trying to register than there are vaccines and appointments available. But we think about 80,000 people were able to get appointments booked since Friday when eligibility expanded. And our providers are just finding out over the weekend what their allocations are going to be for next week. We got a good, healthy shipment from the federal government. So there'll be more providers adding more appointments, today, tomorrow. So we're still very much on track towards general availability for everybody by April 5th. And having the opportunity for anyone who wants to actually get a vaccine in their arm by the end of April, early May.
Okay. And so again, just how you were saying is people may not realize this, but the websites didn't crash. Things have been going well. I know it's frustrating. People have to sometimes wait a little bit, but it's sort of like a concert ticket. They keep releasing them. And so it could change. If you don't get luck today, try tomorrow.
That's exactly right, Kara. And we appreciate it. It's frustrating, for people to have to, log back on, check if you didn't get an appointment the first time, but it is a very scarce product right now, these vaccines. And so, we're doing our best to, as soon as we get supply from the federal government, get it out into our providers so that they can get it administered to people quickly.
Something I talked about with you last week, but I just want to reiterate, people may not know, it no longer on the website just tells you where to get a vaccine. You have a new tool that shows places that actually have them. Can you explain how we can find that?
Sure. The best place to start always is to go to our website, ct.gov/COVID vaccine. And you'll find quickly on there a little zip code finder where you plug in your zip code, and it'll pull up a list for you of vaccine locations that are closest to where you live. And you'll see at the top of that list, there's a little button you can press that just says, just show me sites that have a current availability, that are booking appointments now. And that'll help you filter to maybe refine your search. But, we're still in this phase where as soon as appointments come online, they get, gobbled up pretty quickly. So if, again, if you have trouble finding a slot, just don't be patient, keep trying, and we're confident everyone will get one by the end of this round.
We're fortunate here. Our company has put out the rule of if you need a vaccine or please get the vaccine, you can take a half sick day. Regardless of what's in your bank, you can have a half a day to go get vaccines, both the first and second shot. Are you encouraging companies to really make sure their employees have time to get these vaccines?
Yeah, and we're doing that at the state as well. We're providing an hour comp time for employees if they need to, get their vaccine, during the business day. Anything that we can do, employers can do, we can do as neighbors, friends, family members, helping out, watching a kid, whatever it might be. It's so important that everybody get vaccinated. And so we're trying everything we can at the state to make access as easy as possible. But we recognize everybody, people have busy lives. So anything that employers can do to make it even easier would be great. I think once we get through this next phase, we get to general availability and we start to get into late spring, summer, we'll have even more opportunities as well for, workplace vaccination clinics, for people that, where we may not have as high an uptake rate yet. We'll see a lot more, outbound efforts as we get into the late spring.
Now, other things that have happened, capacity at restaurants have eased. I went out this weekend. I don't know if I necessarily noticed a lot more people, but I did notice a lot of people out when there's no more restriction, but everything still has to remain 6 feet apart. Is that correct?
That's right. So, again, the capacity restrictions have eased, but, the good public health guidance around making sure you're keeping your masks on, trying to maintain some distancing, As you said, there's still a lot of people getting COVID in Connecticut and around the country. And so we do need to keep our guard up a bit longer.
What if you want to go on a trip? You want to go on that, go visit grandma and grandpa, or take a weekend and go up to Maine. You can now do that without having to be forced to quarantine when you come back.
Yeah, so as of last Friday, we changed the travel advisory from executive order to just guidance, recommendations. The recommendations are still good ones to help protect you and your family and prevent transmission. But the risk has come down, and particularly if you've been vaccinated. I think a lot of our public health leaders recommend that maybe hold off a little bit longer to start traveling until you've been vaccinated, you're fully vaccinated, your traveling party. That really helps reduce the risk, and is a good kind of reward for getting your vaccine done as quickly as possible.
Another reason people want to make sure they get those shots before Connecticut spring break is coming up. And I think I've heard a lot of families saying, oh, I can't wait. We're actually going to go somewhere now because it's eased. Any guidance for that?
Yeah, again, I think, if you've been vaccinated, maybe you can probably feel a little more comfortable about doing some traveling. If you haven't been vaccinated or you have kids traveling as well, you really need to be careful. There's still, many other parts of the country have significantly higher positivity rates than we do. There's a general concern out there about these variants. So, again, it may be smart to stay close to home. One more spring break. I think we're getting really close. The summer, I think, is going to be fantastic. I think we're going to see not just travel, but restaurants, tourism, other things. Hopefully, snap back pretty quickly here as we get into the summer. Once we get to the point where we have much higher vaccination rates.
The other thing that's happened is houses of worship no longer have capacity restrictions. What do you see for Easter Sunday?
Well, look, it's an area where, as the governor's pointed out before, to the extent that congregations may skew a little older, our prioritization to get the elderly vaccinated first, people who are most at risk of severe illness and death, maybe helps them get back to church a little bit quicker as well. So however however people approach the holiday, again, just urge continued caution a little bit longer.
But no longer does it have to be only 50% mask. I mean, it's just like restaurants. If churches want to open fully, they can now.
They can, but again, distancing and masks still required.
You still need the 6 feet away, I guess, from your family. Maybe not. So
yeah, with your family units, you stay together, but try to keep some distance from others, and again, keep those masks on.
Okay. Schools. I know my school is now back in full time in the West Hartford district. They brought all the kids back. A lot of other schools are starting to do this in some way, shape, or form. How is that going? And how is the safety for teachers and kids?
It's going very well. We've proven in Connecticut, I think since last fall, that we know how to operate schools safely, with masks, with distancing, with proper ventilation. And it is great to see more and more schools going back full time, getting kids the opportunity to, get that so much, more improved in classroom learning experience, take some pressure off the parents, let the kids see their friends. The social aspect of this is really important. I'm also, a parent of a couple school age kids, and it's so important for the kids to be back in. And now, still with a couple months to go before we get to the summer, it's great that it's happening. It's great we've been able to prioritize educators for vaccinations. So now that if there are exposures, those educators don't have to quarantine anymore, less disruption in terms of having to close down classes or schools if there are cases. So we're really optimistic for a really positive last couple of months of the school year here.
Looking ahead, this is the time of year where most parents would be thinking about summer camps. I know that's something that even President Biden's administration has talked about, that these kids need socialization. What do you foresee for summer camp rules, restrictions? Will it be kind of a normal camp experience? Are capacity restrictions lifted there as well?
We think it will be much more of a normal summer experience. If anything, there could be even more opportunities for summer camp, summer enrichment programs. There's a tremendous amount of federal money coming available that will help subsidize programs like that as well, help provide, for perhaps testing for sleepaway camps. There's going to be a lot of resources available, and I think there's a lot of catch up to do with our kids, not just academically, but socially and developmentally and emotionally as well. And we think this summer is going to be a fantastic opportunity for kids to, get back out and have some fun.
16 and up, that's coming soon, April 5th, I believe, right? April 5th.
Right. Yeah.
So what about the people who have kids who are under 16? Are we on track to vaccinate them, or may we not need to vaccinate them?
Well, we think we will. All of the vaccine producers, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, they all have fully enrolled clinical trials with children under the age of 16. In the case of Pfizer, under the age of 18, in the case of Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, that's where they're currently authorized. And, we hope that they'll have, they'll, reach their endpoints in those clinical trials, perhaps by the summer, which would then enable us to begin vaccinating children at younger ages based on FDA EUA. And that timing could be good for back to school in the fall to help further reduce the risk. And so we're going to, continue to follow the guidance of the federal government and public health experts in terms of where that goes over the summer.
There's been some talk that the kids need to stay in school longer or do summer school. It's been a national topic. Is there any kind of thought of doing that here? Is that the belief in Connecticut?
We're talking to a lot of the experts and community leaders and educators about this. I think the governor's view at this point is that we definitely want to provide a very robust set of, camps and programming for children this summer. It may not look like school as much, though. I think, kids have had a tough year as it is. And, to think about spending your summer, in a classroom in front of a computer screen again.
I don't want to be the one to tell my kids that.
Yeah, I think we'd all have quite a revolt on our hands. And so, trying to find a way to do it that is educational, but is more of a traditional summer experience where it's fun, where it's it's supporting their emotional development. So we're going to be working hard in the coming weeks and months on what that can look like, what the opportunities will be, how we take advantage of federal resources that are available to the maximum extent. So I think we can all look forward to quite a good set of options for our kids this summer.
And lastly, what is graduation going to look like? I know kids have missed out on so much, but as we approach the end of the year, do we imagine promotion ceremonies for the younger kids and graduations like we've seen before? Or what do you see?
Yeah, our Department of Public Health is working on some guidance for what we'd recommend for graduations. I do think it'll look much more normal than it did last year. I think we're seeing opportunities for, particularly for outdoor events where we can maintain distancing, people can wear masks. I think, we'll hopefully be in a position where there's more opportunity for people to come together and celebrate these big milestones.
Lastly, before we let you go, the restrictions on having indoor and outdoor, just private events, barbecues, or people at your house have eased. Tell us what those restrictions are. And does it mean that you can just socialize like normal? Or should we still be wearing masks and social distancing in our yards and houses?
Yeah, so the restrictions have increased in terms of capacity for indoors and outdoors, 100 indoors and 200 outdoors. But again, particularly for indoor events, we're really requesting people keep masks on. Outdoors is so much safer than indoors, but the governor wanted to give people a little bit more flexibility. He's very also into making sure we have rules that are actually enforceable, that kind of align with, where we are realistically in terms of, lower positivity rates, much higher vaccination rates, trusting in people to use common sense, do the right thing, be careful a little bit longer until we get, vast majority of the state vaccinated. We're well on our way. We're over a third of the adult population already vaccinated. So the speed is just going to pick up in the coming weeks as we're getting more and more supply.
All right, Josh Geballe, thank you so much for chiming in as Connecticut starts to reopen. And we look forward to returning to hopefully more sense of normalcy as these rates come down.
That's the hope. And thanks, Kara. I appreciate it.
Thanks.